So for my next trip, we're going to do a brake upgrade on my Triumph. Now you might look at those calipers and say, what's wrong with those? They only have 25,738 kilometers on them. They probably work fine. And they sort of do. But early speed triples of this year have a peculiar problem with the seals and the pistons in this caliper going bad and leaving the brakes feeling very, very wooden. The brakes also work okay, but they have a lot of power and next to no feel, which was an issue on some of these with really early radial calipers from back in these days. The other reason I'm doing this upgrade is because radial master cylinders feel good. So I'm just going to pan around and have a look at the parts that I've got. So that's the caliper that's stock on this bike. These bikes came standard with a braided brake line, but it has a T in the middle, which is never great for feel. And they come with this fairly regular looking non-radial master cylinder. So, after a lot of research, I've discovered these. These are monobloc Nissin calipers, which are obviously very similar, but they're monobloc. So by monobloc, see how these calipers are actually split in the middle. They're made in two halves like a traditional caliper. They split there. Monobloc ones are not. That's casting, that's all one piece. So that makes them flex less, which makes them feel better. It's probably debatable how much you can actually feel that. So these are off of a 2013 Daytona 675 Triumph. So one thing you'll notice is that I tried to stick with Triumph parts. So a lot of this is Triumph bits and pieces. That is a radial master cylinder. Again, it's a Nissin part. There is the possibility of doing Yamaha like Brembo radial master cylinders and all sorts of other things. But I decided to stick with parts that were, you know, have previously worked together on factory Triumph bikes for various reasons. Now, one of the things you need is the correct bolts for this. These are nice stainless steel ones that I got from Race Bolt in the UK. Now, this is one thing that sort of surprised me, is that OEM brake pads usually cost a fortune. These from Triumph, for whatever reason, were as cheap as buying EBC HH from a regular retailer, and they were in stock at my local Triumph dealer, which is really cool. And have a look how nice they are. They're just a little bit fancier than normal aftermarket pads. I don't know who makes their pads for Triumph, but they're really nice. Anyway, what else have we got here? We've got some spacers here that also came from Triumph. Not sure if I'll need those or not. That's a choice of two different levers for the radial master cylinder. One was actually wrong and was shipped to me by mistake. And yeah, that's just a reservoir. I will probably use my existing reservoir because it's a little clearer than that one, and just put the two together. So, the last part is these really nice brake lines, which came from HEL Performance, I think, HEL Performance. Now you notice that there's two. So I mentioned before that there is a T-piece in this brake line. That's generally not the best way to get good feel out of brakes. So HEL sent me this custom made set. I told them what I was using top and bottom. And they said, sure, we can figure that out. And I said, make them standard length for this year's speed triple. And they just knocked them out. These are DOT approved for Australia, which is cool. And it'll have twin lines all the way from the top to the bottom. And they also sent me all the correct length banjo bolts and all that sort of good business that I need. So hopefully I've got all the bits and pieces. It's taken me a little while to collect all this stuff, and hopefully it'll all go together nicely. All right, let's get into it.